Hi everyone, and welcome to this video where we look at another member of my classic computer collection. And the computer we're going to have a look at today is sometimes referred to as the Edsel of the microcomputing world. It was very, very expensive. It was a bit of a flop commercially, but it contained a lot of new technology and certainly pushed the frontiers of microcomputing forward. And for that reason, it's a very historic machine, and certainly one that I'm glad to own. It is, of course, the Apple Lisa. So let's have a look at it. The Lisa story actually starts with this machine. Now, this is not an Apple computer. This is the Xerox Altos, and it's the machine that Apple computer Steve Jobs saw on a visit to Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center in 1979. Steve Jobs was impressed. In fact, he was very impressed. In it, he saw the future, and that future was an intuitive graphical user interface controlled by a mouse, a far cry from the cryptic command line interfaces of the day. Apple therefore set about building such a machine, and in January 1983, the Lisa was ready. It was not the first graphical user interface computer on the market. Xerox had released the Xerox Star workstation in 1981, but for various reasons it hadn't received much attention. Apple computers, on the other hand, always went to great lengths to grab attention for what they did, even to the extent of rewriting history, as can be seen from this advertisement. This first version of the Lisa was problematic. Main issue was the 5¼ Twiggy drives. These were an unreliable in-house design that needed special disks. In 1983, the drives were ditched and replaced with far more reliable Sony drives, which used new 3.5-inch diskettes. The new machine was called the Lisa 2. Now, not much can be held on a 400K floppy, and so for serious storage, a 5 megabyte external drive called the Profile was available for the Lisa or the Lisa 2. Bundled with the Lisa 2, the package was known as the Lisa 2.5. Also, a Lisa 2 version with a 10 megabyte built-in hard drive called the Widget was also produced, and this model was called the Lisa 210. This ad from 1984 shows all three configurations. Later, 10 megabyte profile hard drives became available. The Lisa costs a lot of money to manufacture, so was very expensive. Here in New Zealand, a profile-enabled Lisa was close to 20,000 New Zealand dollars. That's about $10,000 US. They were too expensive for many in North America as well, and sales were quite poor. It wasn't so much the competition that threatened the Apple Lisa, though, than Apple Computers itself. After falling out with the Lisa team, Steve Jobs had poured all his energy into developing a new machine, the Macintosh. This could be seen as a much cheaper version of the Lisa, a machine that Jobs had now lost interest in, regarding it more as a proof of concept for his beloved Macintosh. So all eyes at Apple computers were now on this new machine, and the large, clunky, expensive Lisas fell out of favour. This is underscored by the shift in the Lisa's role. In early 1985, the Lisa 210 machines were rebranded as the Macintosh XL, fitted with Mac OS software, given a lower price, and essentially marketed as hard disk-capable high-end Macintoshes. The machines were still expensive to make, though, and the line was discontinued in April 1985. And so the Lisa passed into history. Fortunately, I managed to nab myself a couple. Here are my two machines. You can see a Lisa 2 there on the left, and the Lisa 210 on the right. So that one came with a Widget drive originally. So you can see they both go. There's a black line on the screen there, but that's just an artifact of the camera. They both show pretty clear, steady images on the monitor normally. I've even managed to snag a profile drive. This is a 10 megabyte version. It doesn't go, unfortunately, but it looks nice sitting on top of the Lisa 2. Here's a close look at the Lisa 210. It's got a black cover over the screen. It's a sort of anti-glare cover that you could buy for the Lisas. It makes a nice viewable image that's easy on the eye. And there you can see the basic shape. So we've got very typable keyboard. The mouse isn't a Lisa mouse. It's actually a mouse that came with the early Macintosh, so I haven't got the genuine article there. Now, on both my keyboards, I've got these little pull-out tabs, and it's just an illustration, I guess, of the quality of the user support that Apple gave Lisa owners. There was these little pull-out help cards embedded into the keyboard there, so they'd be certainly helpful for office workers if they needed to know something about the machine and how to use it, what the various keys did. And they just push away and tuck away like that. Now, one thing I enjoy about vintage computers is the design. Computers of this era were all different to one another, and they were different shapes and they looked different. And the Lisa's got a very unique design. It almost looks organic. You can imagine it almost as an animal crouching forward over the keyboard. It's interesting, and it's something that's a little different from anything else that was out there. Now, just between those feet, down on the right, that's where you plug the keyboard in. And there's just a simple white switch there, which is the on-off switch for the machine. Now, the Lisa 2 and the Lisa 210, that is the one with the built-in widget drive, look virtually identical. The way you can tell the difference is you can look at the rear. So if we have a look at the rear of this Lisa 2, we've got 3 expansion ports with the covers on. Along the bottom, you've got a reset button, a composite video output. You've got a parallel port, then the mouse port, and 2 serial ports. And finally, the socket for the power plug. You can see here that the profile drive communicates with the main computer through that parallel port. In contrast, let's have a look at the back of a Lisa 210. Now, here you can see almost everything's the same except down the bottom there, the parallel port's missing. 2 serial ports are there in the mouse port, but the parallel port in this case is internal, and it's connected to that internal widget drive. So that's the way you could tell the difference between a Lisa 2 and a Lisa 210. The circuitry itself, which is remarkably easy to get at, consists of 3 or 4 cards stacked vertically onto a motherboard, a short motherboard, and you can see them here. I'll just give you another look at that arrangement from a different angle. So here we are looking straight down on top of the cards. You can see there are 4 of them. These 2 in the front, these shorter ones, are the RAM cards, and both of my Lisas have got 2 cards each, so it's a total of 1 megabyte of memory. Each card's 512K. And they're made up of banks and banks of 4164 chips. Now, you can get by with just one of these cards in a Lisa, but of course you are a little constrained with memory, and having 2 cards certainly makes for a far more comfortable Lisa experience. Next along we have the CPU card, and this is what it looks like. Then after that we have the input-output card. Now, the input-output card, this final card, differs between the Lisa 2 and the Lisa 210, whereas the other cards, the CPU card and the memory cards, are the same. The one you're looking at here is for the Lisa 2, and one thing I'll point out, you notice that square in the lower right. That square is where a battery would have been, and these batteries were notorious for leaking, so they would have destroyed a number of old Lisas. So when you see a vintage Lisa working, there's a good chance that the battery's absent. It's simply removed. It's not important, and the machine can function perfectly well without it. So that's the I/O card for the Lisa 2, and here's the I/O card for the Lisa 210. So you can see it's slightly different. It's got 1 or 2 more chips, and in the Lisa 2, you had a separate card for the floppy drive called the Lisa Lite card, whereas that circuitry is now integrated into this input-output card for the Lisa 210. This is the circuit board of the profile. You can see the hard drive itself there on the left. There's another circuit board under there. Unfortunately, this doesn't work. I've looked at it and tried to diagnose the problem without success. So at the moment, I'll put it away. At some stage, when I'm short of a project, I'll get it out and try again. And the same can be said of my widget drive in the Lisa 210. Here it is showing where it sits in that particular machine. You can see the floppy drive underneath it, the widget's on top. Again, very complex circuitry, and you've got to remember that at the time, these drives were pushing the boundaries of technology. There was a lot of quite complex electronics in these particular units. Now I'll just show you a picture of the widget removed from its case. You can get a slightly better view of it. So there it is. You can see it's made up of a few stacked circuit boards. Now, like the profile, I haven't got this working either, despite spending quite a few hours on it. So what I decided to do is to bite the bullet and buy a modern piece of hardware to replace it, and this is the X-Profile. The X-Profile card is a beautiful piece of technology. There it is, screwed into the compartment that would have held the widget drive. It's a modern piece of equipment. It uses a SD card, simply plugs in the end there. In fact, you can see it. Although you can also attach an IDE drive there as well. So there's a couple of mechanisms for storage. Works like a treat. I'm very happy with that purchase. They're quite expensive, but certainly worth it. They come in this nice little package together with couple of operating systems, the Lisa Suite and also MacWorks. Good documentation and very, very easy to set up. So certainly one that I'd recommend. So if you're interested, if you've got a Lisa, you're looking for a replacement, just Google the X-Profile card and check it out. So now time to show a little of what the Lisa can do. So we'll switch it on. I'll use the Lisa 210 to demonstrate some of the software. So it goes through a series of self-checks first. You can see them here. Now the screen's flickering quite a bit in the video, but it's only in the video. It's actually some sort of artifact of the camera. I did try several different shutter speeds, but for some reason I still get a bit of flicker. The screen in real life is very, very clear and very steady, so it looks better than you can see it. So here we are, booting up the Lisa Office system. So this is what was sold with your Lisa when it was equipped with a profile or a widget. And you can see it's got a very Mac-like interface. Icons down there that you can open up. So what we'll do is we'll open up our hard disk and we'll check out what we've got. You can see a few folders there. This one's called Terry Sandpit, and this is the one I usually play in to teach me a little bit about the Lisa. And what we'll do here is to maybe we'll just close that down. Maybe I'll just open a document from this is called Lisa Paper, and what we're doing here is creating a new document. And the Lisa's quite unique in that it's not so much application driven, rather it's document driven. So all of the packages here, things like the calc package, the draw package, what you tend to do is you create a document in order to use those packages. You don't go to the package and then create a document within them. So it's like I've torn off a bit of paper from the Lisa pad, and now I'm going to write something. So we'll open it up and we'll just type a little bit of information in there. Keyboard's got a really, really nice feel to it. Very comfortable to use. That feature, the fact that it is very document orientated, was way ahead of its time, and really it's only in recent years that operating systems have caught up with that. It didn't really catch on after the Lisa for many years. Most computers were still very application orientated.
So this is a typical text editor. I mean, it doesn't look like anything remarkable these days, but seeing something like that back in 1983 would have really blown people's minds. That was really pretty cool and pretty advanced to have this what you see is what you get sort of display on the screen. And of course, just like the Macintosh, you can, well, in fact, any word processor now, you can easily change the fonts and any characteristics of the text that you like. Just showing you some of the menus here. Let's convert our text to italics. Had a lot of options on the menus. This write program, you could certainly do quite a bit with your text. So let's close that down. We'll shut it down. Lisa tells us that it's being saved. And okay, we don't really want that, so let's just drag it to the bin. Again, a very Mac-like sort of thing. Now, when you want to shut everything down with Elisa, there's no menu option that says shut down. All you do is simply push the button, and it will package everything up, close it down in an elegant way for you. And the Elisa actually keeps a little bit of that in memory, so if you ever want to restart, it's actually quite fast, providing you leave the machine plugged in. Now we're just going to change operating system, so just remove this SD card with the Lisa Office Suite and plug in MacWorks and reboot the machine. Now any of you that are familiar with the older Macs will recognize this interface and be very familiar with it. So essentially what we've got here is Macintosh software running on an emulator on the Lisa, so that you have essentially got one big fat Mac. But you notice there are some issues. Just notice the size of that dustbin. It's quite elongated, and that's because the screen resolution in the Lisa is different to that in the Macintosh. So although we're running essentially Macintosh software, the screen resolution is not quite right. And what you could do is you could buy a kit for the machine to change that resolution into resolution that was exactly the same as the Macintosh. So overcome that particular problem. So here's MacWrite. It's a piece of software that a lot of people will know, quite recognisable. Has the conventional Macintosh menus there. Including one for shutdowns. So with the Lisa Office Suite, you just push the button. Here you've actually got a menu option that tells the machine to stop. Now just before we finish, I want to show you how easy it is to work on a Lisa. To get to the main boards, you just turn a couple of thumb screws and then pull the cage out. Just like that. Very, very simple, very, very easy, very, very quick. If you want to get to anything in the front, it's just a matter of pushing a couple of, or pressing a couple of buttons underneath, and the front just pops off. So there you can get to the floppy drive and whatever might be in the compartment there. If you want to take the top off, it's just a matter of undoing a couple of Phillips screws, and they're not Torx screws, so you can use a conventional Phillips screwdriver. Just undo those, and top just comes off. They're undone properly. And once the top's removed, you can then get to the video card that's sitting next to the tube. And there we are. Well, you saw how quick that was. So very easy to get into a Lisa, very accessible. Unlike the Macintosh, which took the opposite approach and was quite hard to get inside. So very nice. So that's a look at my Lisa 2 and my Lisa 210. They're both grand old ladies, and I certainly enjoy having these units and being able to bring them out from time to time to play with them and simply enjoy them. They are historic classic computers, and they're among the favourites in my collection.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that look at the at my two Apple Lisa 2s. One of these days I'll get around to working again on the widget drive and the profile drive. And in the long run, I hope to fix these and have the computers completely working back in the original state with the original hardware. Anyway, until the next video, keep well, and we'll see you then.